American history. The colonial period was a time of immense transformation, innovation, and, quite often, eccentric customs. To modern eyes, many of the practices that were once normal in the daily lives of colonial Americans appear strange, even bizarre. From peculiar medical treatments to unique social customs and unusual legal practices, the colonial era was rife with weird practices that shaped the nascent society in unexpected ways. This narrative delves into the heart of these idiosyncratic customs, painting a vivid picture of life in early America. One of the most common medical practices was bloodletting. Based on the ancient Greek theory of humorism, which posited that health depended on the balance of bodily fluids, bloodletting was believed to release excess blood and thus restore balance. Doctors used various instruments, including lancets and fleams, to cut patients and drain their blood. Leeches, too, were employed for this purpose. Though the sight of bloodletting instruments and the application of leeches might make modern individuals cringe, for colonial Americans, this was a routine part of healthcare. Another widely used treatment involved the use of mercury. Known as calomel, this mercury-based compound was prescribed for a range of conditions, from constipation to syphilis. Patients would often suffer severe side effects, such as mercury poisoning, which could lead to symptoms like drooling, gum disease, and in extreme cases, death. Despite its toxicity, calomel was a staple in the colonial pharmacopoeia. The most infamous example of colonial superstition is the Salem Witch Trials of 1692. Fear of witches, believed to be in league with the devil, led to a series of hearings and prosecutions of people accused of witchcraft in colonial Massachusetts. The trials resulted in the execution of 20 people, most of them women. Accusations were often based on flimsy evidence, such as spectral sightings or unusual behavior, and confessions were frequently obtained under duress or torture. To ward off evil spirits and witches, colonists employed a variety of apotropaic practices. This included nailing horseshoes above doorways, planting herbs like rosemary and sage around the home, and inscribing hex signs on barns and other buildings. These symbols and items were believed to provide protection from malevolent forces. Courtship in colonial America included a curious practice known as bundling. This involved a couple sleeping in the same bed, fully clothed, and often with a board or bundling sack separating them. The practice was intended to allow couples to spend intimate time together while preserving their chastity. Despite its intended purpose, bundling sometimes led to premarital pregnancies, leading some communities to question its morality and effectiveness. Death and mourning were significant aspects of colonial life, given the high mortality rates. Mourning customs included wearing specific attire, such as black clothing and veils for widows, and the use of mourning rings, which were often engraved with the name and date of death of the deceased. Funerals were elaborate events, and it was not uncommon for families to distribute funeral gloves to attendees as a token of gratitude. Colonial justice often involved public humiliation as a form of punishment. One notable example was the use of the ducking stool, a device used to punish those accused of being scolds or gossipers. The accused would be strapped to a chair and repeatedly dunked into a body of water. Stocks and pillories were also common, where individuals would be publicly displayed and subjected to ridicule, and sometimes physical harm, from passers-by. To regulate personal behavior and maintain social hierarchies, many colonies enacted sumptuary laws. These laws dictated what individuals could wear based on their social status, with specific regulations on fabrics, colors, and styles. For instance, only the wealthy could wear certain types of lace or silk. These laws were intended to curb excessive spending and promote modesty, but they also reinforced social distinctions. Quakers, who played a significant role in colonial America, had unique legal practices, particularly concerning marriage and governance. Quaker marriages did not require a minister. Instead, the couple would declare their intent to marry before the community in a meeting, emphasizing the egalitarian and self-governing principles of their faith. This practice was quite different from the more formalized marriage ceremonies common in other colonies.